Hey folks, and welcome to another video of mine. In today's video, we're going to be taking a look at Mass Effect 2 Legendary Edition. Now, this game is, say, about roughly around 30 GB in terms of the game size, because when we install only the first game, it roughly takes about 21.6 GB of your storage. And with the second installment, which is the sequel, Mass Effect 2, when you install that, in addition to the 21.6, you add up a few more GBs and it totals up to, say, about 53.2 GB. Now, the interesting bit is that although it says that it's an Xbox Series X and S game, but you can actually store it on the external storage and play this as well, as have I. I have actually stored it on my external storage and not on the internal storage. So it can run without any issues. Now you have two options, just like the first game. You have a frame rate version and you have a quality mode. Now, depending on what your preferences are, whether you prefer to play with a higher frame rate, you can choose the frame rate mode. And if you want quality, just like I do, then you can choose the quality mode. Now I'm just gonna tweak around with the settings a little bit to just get the optimum settings for my game. Now I'm just gonna start the game and I am gonna import the Mass Effect 1 character. So you have an option of importing the character skin from your first game. That's interesting. And it says that, this is from my level 43 Theodore. That's my Christian name, Theodore Shepherd. So 1, 2, 3. All right. So we've got into, some more settings. It gives you these options again. So even if you have not selected it the first time around, in fact, I would suggest that you do it now. And we're just going to start the game off. The opening scene, and it says EA, Electronic Arts, and a BioWare production, the game developers. And it starts off with the cutscenes, and in fact, there are loads of them in this game. So if you do not like cutscenes in a game, this is not a game for you, because you really have to interact with a lot of characters, and you actually have to make sure that you uncover plot lines and stories, of these various characters. And each conversation that you have has multiple branches. So the game is designed to follow if and then branches, just like when we code and when we develop certain things, when we make software, we build in kind of, if and then branches. If this happens, then this will happen. So similarly, your choices will impact what happens to your character, and not just you, but even the other characters around you. Now, there are a lot of cutscenes, and therefore, I prefer to play this game in the quality mode simply because of the fact that there are so many cutscenes, and this is a very, you could say, cutscene heavy game. You have to follow the narrative, you have to follow the storyline, and it just gives you an idea as to what's going on in the game. So even if you haven't played the first game, well, there's nothing to be afraid of. You can immediately jump into the second game, and it kind of gives you an idea, a backdrop of what you're up against. So the cutscenes, I have to say, one thing that I observe, especially these scenes that are out in space, I think these scenes look comparatively sharper in the first game, surprisingly, because they have worked tremendously on the first game, especially. Now, Mass Effect 2 and Mass Effect 3 were already great looking games. So their cutscenes, I believe, are pre-rendered, and for some strange reason, the cutscenes in the Mass Effect 1 game looked sharper to me, especially the ones in space. Now, these ones, the ones, which look like in-game footage or in-game cutscenes. Now, these cutscenes are sharp. And the one thing that I have noticed already is the lip movement of these characters. It's much better than the first one. Now, the first game, the lip sync was not really there. I mean, you could literally make out that, it's an old game. They haven't really focused on the lip sync along with the dialogues. The voice acting was fantastic, and even in this game, the voice acting is fantabulous. But in addition to that voice acting, the lip syncing this time around has improved tremendously. So that's definitely a plus moving over from the first game. And again, it's a long cutscene. I mean, guys, this is a story-driven game. And for a game like this, my suggestion would be to play it in the quality mode instead of the frame rate mode. Because, hey, if you have a television which has MEMC, if you have a television which has that smooth motion and motion smoothness, then you're better off playing in the 4K mode, the quality mode, and enjoying the higher res. And coupled with your television's performance, you can actually get a very smooth experience when it comes to the gameplay as well. And yeah, like I was saying, I mean, if you haven't seen my first video, I'll put up a link here, and you can check it out anytime you want. But you had dialogue options there that you could actually choose from, and that would impact you and your other mates, you could say, further down in the game. So here you see that cycle that has those dialogue options, and you can choose from those dialogue options. Now, so far, as you can see, the colors, the sharpness, the visuals of this game overall is simply brilliant. I mean, this is a beautiful game. It was and still is. And with the remastered version, the Legendary Edition, this game has only become better in terms of the visual fidelity. So you will not be disappointed. And especially, for a game which tells, so much story, through the cutscenes, you actually kind of end up appreciating the fact that, they took their time, made the remastered, and they are definitely, reaching out to the newer generation of gamers with this all-time classic that in many ways, shaped a lot of RPGs that were to come in the following years. So way back then, this had definitely set a benchmark when it comes to creating RPGs. And now, after, so many cutscenes, we have finally got a chance to get into the gameplay. So this is how your character moves. The movement of the character is very fluid. The camera panning, very fluid. Frame rates, superb. I think, in the quality mode, it gives you a flat 30 FPS, no frame drops. And just look at those visuals. I mean, it's gorgeous. This game, this scene is simply breathtaking. I mean, look at that planet in that distance. And, this, you could say, the destroyed ship and the chunks of the ship, pieces of the ship floating around in space. It is incredible. It gives you this very cinematic, kind of a feel, this scene especially. And as your character is moving around the almost destroyed spaceship, just look at that. Oh man, the lighting, the colors, the sharpness, everything, it comes together so beautifully to give you a very cinematic experience. And just a little bit of gameplay, and you are back into the cutscenes. And here again, you have those dialogue options that you can actually choose from. So I keep saying this over and over again because, a lot of people, they like to get into the action straight away. So, some people may not be very patient with these cutscenes, and some people do not like it. I mean, different types of gamers, exist. Now, I, for one, enjoy good storytelling. So I do enjoy these cutscenes, and I take my time talking to the characters around and making sure that I understand the plot completely. So here you can see, I mean, in terms of the graphics, this is absolutely brilliant. I don't know if you were able to make out the particle effects in the scene, this scene especially. Look at that fire. Look at those, those particle effects, when things are just getting destroyed on screen. That beam of light, that ray, and it is incredible. It is a beautiful game. This is simply outstanding in terms of the visuals that are being offered. And even the fire, I mean, it is brilliant. And now you have our character, Shepard, who has lost his ship, who has successfully saved his crew, the main crew that is, But in an attempt to save his crew, he had to pay the final price. That is, he sacrificed himself, and now he's just literally floating in space. And now he's going to enter the atmosphere, and you have the opening credit, and the title will now come up saying Mass Effect 2. And it's a beautiful way to start the game. And this was a high impact, you could say, opening for a game, and it sets the tone for what is to come. So you get to understand the quality of, the overall game, the graphics, the gameplay, and just the overall quality that the opening has actually set. Now here, you also have an option of selecting a comic, like a comic which tells you the story, tells you the story of the first Mass Effect game. So it's an interactive backstory comic. You can choose to, go through the whole comic, but I am going to skip this comic. So I'm going to quickly, move over all these various points, but I'm only doing that because I've played the first game. I've just completed the first one, so it's fresh off my mind. But if you are, one of those people who do not want to go from one part to the other part, that is the sequel. And for instance, if you played Mass Effect 1 and you played that like 6 months back, and you're picking up Mass Effect 2 after 6 months, then you would appreciate, this kind of a refresh, because it definitely refreshes your memory and it helps you connect with what happened in the first game. So yeah, I mean, if you're into comics, you would like this, because it has this, kind of a storytelling done in a very comicsy way. Comicsy. So yeah, you can choose to go through that comic. You can choose to go through, what happened in the first part. But I have not done that because, like I said, I just finished the first part, just last week. So it's in my mind right now. It's fresh in my mind, and I don't need to go through, all the storytelling again. And for the sake of this video as well, I'm skipping over all these bits so that we get into more gameplay. And yeah, I mean, so far, as you can see, it's fantastic. Now, this is a scene which explains what happens to Shepard, in the sense, this is parts of his body, how his body is getting restored, because while it entered the atmosphere, it was, you could say, badly impacted. So his body is getting repaired, brought together. So this is that scene. And it's a nice way of, telling things, that, how they kind of revived him and brought him back from death. So the name of this project, as you would know a little later on in the game, is Project Lazarus. And I don't need to mention, why Project Lazarus for, all of us Christians, just like Lazarus was raised from the dead by our Lord Jesus. Just like this, in this particular game, Shepard is being raised from the dead. So that's why, it's like a nice touch to name something Project Lazarus. So here, you have this option where, you can actually accept the imported face, which is this, or you can go with the default appearance or a custom appearance. Now, the one thing that I did not like in the default appearance was, just look at those eyes. I mean, a lot of characters had these crazy eyes. I don't know if, you have found out, these eyes to be crazy as well. I mean, I find them very, you could say, they're like psycho eyes, like killer eyes. So that's why I chose to make my character, with these pair of eyes, which look far, far better than the default character, the default Shepard. So we're going to import the face, or import the character from my first game. And the thing that they do very well is that, nothing changes. In fact, just a very subtle change in the quality of the overall character. The skin texture is comparatively better in Mass Effect 2 compared to Mass Effect 1. And I think, they had to put in a little bit of scars on the face, simply because of the fact that they're showing that, well, he's recovered from such a lot of damage to his body. And here you have the beautiful Yvonne Strahovski.
Still climbing.
And top-notch voice acting. For those of you who do not know Yvonne Strahovski, well, she was the star of a series called Chuck, and well, she is beautiful. She's gorgeous, and the voice acting is fabulous, and even the character, she looks like Yvonne Strahovski. So if you've seen Chuck, then you would know exactly what I'm talking about. And yeah, she plays Miranda, this this person, this doctor or scientist, who's actually had a hand in bringing you back from the dead and is the head of Project Lazarus. So as I was saying, the texture of the skin and the overall textures, I believe, to me personally, they look better on Mass Effect 2. And so does, the costumes, whether it's your casual costume, the one that you're wearing right now, or whether it's your armor, or your battle, kind of a costume. So in terms of, the movement of the character, it's very similar to the first part, and there's nothing that has changed. It's almost the same. The shooting, the sprinting, the cover mechanism, the crosshair, everything is almost the same. In fact, even the options that you get for your weapons, they are very similar. So you will feel right at home if you've played the first part. Then you will feel right at home. You will feel like nothing has changed, because hey, I mean, almost nothing has changed. It's almost the same in terms of the gameplay. The same cover, the same shooting. So what I would recommend is that you play these games back to back, because the moment you move over to some of the games, I don't know if this is a problem just with me, but I find it very difficult to play 3-4 games at the same time, simply because of the fact that I get confused with the controls. So personally, I'm the kind of person who likes picking up a game, playing it till I complete it, and if there are sequels, then I would like to complete them as well, back to back, because I'm totally familiar and comfortable with the controls, so I don't kind of mess up the gameplay simply because I do not remember. And when you play 2-3 games, you kind of get confused. What button to press? What would this button do? What would that button do? So my suggestion would always be to play these games back to back, especially sequels. And the frame rate is a smooth 30 FPS. It is smooth. Now, I was playing this on my Samsung AU9070, which does have MEMC. It simulates the 60 FPS kind of an experience. So to me, while I was playing it, it looked much, much smoother. Now, of course, when I record this directly from Xbox Series S, it also kind of, takes this game clip out in 1080p in 60 frames per second. So the gameplay is brilliant. And I think, when I played the first game, because I was coming from Gears and games like that, I found it a little it kind of turned me off, to be honest. But now that I've played that game for so long, I kind of enjoyed it. I kind of appreciated it over a period of time. So it does kind of take time for you to appreciate the gameplay. So in case you're wondering, that, oh, I said the first part, the gameplay, the shooting mechanism was not that great. Well, it kind of, it takes time. It's kind of like an acquired taste, so to speak, but maybe it's just me. And maybe, for you, you would kind of, pick this up immediately and either like it or dislike it. So, well, we'll stop here for today, and that's quite a lot of gameplay. And do let me know in the comment section as well, what you think about this game, what you liked about Mass Effect 1 and what you liked about Mass Effect 2 and 3. And if you want me to make a video about Mass Effect 3 as well, I'd be happy to. I'll look forward to your comments after I post every single video. So please let me know in the comments section as to, whether you want me to put up a video with Mass Effect 3 as well or not. Now, if you haven't already hit the like and subscribe button, now's the time to hit that like and subscribe button, and also hit that bell icon in case you want to get notified with all my latest videos. Now, I do keep making videos like this, which are on gameplay, especially with Series S, the Xbox Series S. So if you like this kind of content, then definitely subscribe and also share it with your friends and family members who are into gaming and who enjoy gaming. Now, that's a wrap for this one, folks. This is me signing off, and until we meet again in the next video, I'd say take care, stay safe, and may God bless you all.